So Hannah ate. Then she pulled herself together, slipped away quietly, and entered the sanctuary. The priest Eli was on duty at the entrance to God's temple, in the customary seat. And crushed in soul, Hannah prayed to God and cried inconsolably. And then she made a vow. O God of the angel armies, if you'll take a good hard look at my pain, if you'll quit neglecting me and go into action for me by giving me a son, I'll give him completely, unreservedly to you. I'll set him apart for a life of holy discipline. The story goes on that Hannah, who was not able to have a child, was in the temple and just mouthing these words. They were inaudible, but Eli was watching as she was crying and was moved. At first thought she was drunk, but then was moved when she explained what she was praying for and promised her that her prayer would be heard. I think about how many of us are bargaining with God all the time, or we have key moments in our lives where that bargaining gets really intense. I remember times when my spouse had breast cancer, or when something hard happened with our kids. The bargaining just came. God, if you could only do this, if you could take care of this, then I would be able to manage. And I think it's healthy sometimes for us to bargain with God. It's not always a negative thing. It is, as we've often heard, part of the stages of grief. But I think it's also a way that we begin to not test God, but ask God to be present and to be active in our lives in a way that we may, more than what we may be presently feeling. I think what makes the difference between unhealthy bargaining and healthy bargaining, at least in my mind, is that when we bargain for the sake of our own gain completely, when we bargain so that we can, we'll say, well, I won't sin anymore. I won't do this anymore if you'll just let me have this. I think that can be damaging, because if we don't get what we asked for, or even if we do, there's always kind of this sense of resentment or a sense that we are just not good enough. But I think if we bargain a little bit more like what Hannah is doing, where the bargaining is not just about her, it's what she really deeply wants in her life, but she is saying that whatever gift she is given, that she is planning to give it back to God in some way. And here very concretely that she's going to give this child back to God to serve. But I just wonder if we ask God to give us things, whether that's, perhaps more resources than we've had before, or more talents, or more opportunities. I think knowing that we're not doing these things or receiving them for ourselves, but that we're doing them for the greater good, and we're giving them back to God in some way. Then if we don't get those things, it's not a feeling of resentment. It just means not right now. Or this is not the plan right now for you. But if we do receive those things, then it just is a call and an invitation for us to remember that we live out of gratitude. That gratitude is the way that shapes us, and the ways that we respond to God, even in bargaining, are not just about us, but that they're about the needs around us. And I think there's something that softens our pain, softens our grief when we turn ourselves outward, when we begin to realize that we're not the only ones in pain, that there may be needs around us that are much greater. And it begins to connect us with humanity in a way that we don't feel so isolated anymore, that our suffering becomes just a part of what it is to be human. And the what we receive from God just becomes a part of our stewardship of our very lives. My name is Mantu. Thank you for sharing this moment with me this morning or this evening, whenever you are listening to this. And please remember to like this, and share it with someone that you care about if these moments are helpful to you. And if you comment, please let me know how I can be praying for you, or just leave your name and then I will go through the list and pray for you. You can always message me as well. However this is finding you, I hope that this moment leaves your day in a more centered place. God be with you. Amen.